All right, everybody, welcome to the first episode of Dungeon Mastered. I'm your host, Dustin.
And Martin.
And we're here. We're getting ready to start our very first game. Now, just to do a quick recap of what the episode is about, what the series is about. This is a brand new podcast. We're both in our mid-30s. We played hardcore Dungeons & Dragons in 2nd edition, us and our regular group. And we are now looking forward to starting up in 5th edition. We know it's new. We've wanted to get back into it for a long time, and we just decided to go ahead and take the plunge. So Martin went ahead and spent all of his hard-earned money because he's a banking. He went ahead and bought a handful of the books. He got the Player's Handbook, Dungeon Master's Guide, got the Monsters Manual, and then just for fun went and bought a bunch of old 2nd edition in case we really stink at this game, and we just decided to go back to 2nd edition. So what we're going to do today, this is the first time that we've sat down and played. I have some tools, Dungeon Master tools on my iPad, and Martin has a character in mind. We're basically going to sit down, just do a quick playthrough. Our tentative idea for this podcast is maybe somewhere between 30 minutes to an hour. Maybe every other week. We both have kids, and the other 3 people that are with us, 2 of them have kids. One of them's just really busy. So we don't know that we can commit to every week, but maybe every 2 weeks we can give you an hour, maybe somewhere between 30 minutes to an hour. Maybe it will improve if we do well and money starts coming in, and I can then justify it to my wife why I'm not playing with her or the kids. So basically what we're going to do, Martin, we're going to go ahead and start. What race have you decided for your character for today's session?
Well, just to keep it simple, and as you said, coming all the way from 2nd edition, jumping all the way up to 5th, we have a fairly large learning curve ourselves. I decided to go with the basic human.
All right, yeah.
Solid, classic.
Solid choice, my friend. And what class are you thinking about going?
Well, also going with a classic role. Let's start with the fighter, because you cannot have a game run without a fighter. I don't care who is saying it. You can't have it without a fighter.
All right, so we're going to go with the classic today, which is going to make it really easy on me because I've got to tell you, I haven't done any homework whatsoever. Just the basics of what I could learn. All right, so before we start, we obviously need some of the pertinent info about your character. We know he's a human. We know he's a fighter. So why don't we go ahead and do some dice rolls for scores?
Yep, let's do it. And I am choosing to go with the old school 4d6, removing the lowest one. I know that they've changed a lot of things in the 5th edition where you actually have a bank of points you can go with, and you can actually replace them and all these different combinations. I don't see a reason for that except to just go with the old school way. If it's not broken, don't fix it.
Right, and just to point out, there are going to be a few things here and there that we're just going to stick with. Even though they may be out of date, even though they may not be current edition, there are just a few things that we like. For example, one of the things that I really like about previous editions, I really like Skills Challenge. And I noticed that 5th edition kind of did away with the Skills Challenge, I believe. I thought that was just a really cool way of involving action without combat, which is one of the things that we used to be really big on when we were playing in 2nd edition. It wasn't always about the fight. Now, that's the fun part, but, if you do that, if that's all your game is about, then it's fun with a bunch of boring in the middle and then a lot of fun. So we're going to keep a few things in. I gave Martin the opportunity. I just said, whatever you want to do as far as your dice rolls, feel free to do that. So this is what he's chosen to do. So let's go ahead and start with the rolls.
All righty. We're going to actually do 6 of them total, just like we have for our abilities. So we're going to start with number 1. And
so we've got a 5, a 3, and a 1.
Nice 13 right off the bat.
A big old solid 13. So let's go ahead
and take that one.
We'll go with the next roll.
Oh my, these are scattering like.
Let's keep it. Let's roll those 2 again. You can keep these 2.
And we have another fall off.
So we've got a 4, a 2, and a 2, so an 8.
And see, everybody, you don't always get the best rolls in the world.
Well, if it would have stayed on the table, that would have been a great roll. Because that was a couple of 6s that fell on the floor.
And we tried another attempt at something different. And
all right, we've got a 4, a 3, and a 1, so another 8. So I see a couple of intelligence and maybe, wisdom?
Right. Possibly charisma. I'm not really sure this one's going to be a leader on the battlefield, so.
All right, here we go. We've got a 6, a 5, a 2, and a 1.
Right. 13 on that one.
We've got a 6, a 4, and 2 1s, so we've got an 11. And this is our 6th roll.
This is going to be our 6th and final roll.
And we've got a 6, a 5, and a 2.
Puts us at another
13. That's a 6, a 5, a 2, and a 2.
Oh, well.
So I'm just going to go, it's still a 13.
Still
whatever.
13.
All right. So let's go ahead and just to recap, what are those scores again?
So we started off with a 13. We have an 8, a 13, 11, and a 13.
All right, sounds like a pretty average guy. So
Fairly
let's,
average.
hey, those are the best. The worst scores and the middle scores. Anybody can roll great scores, except for you. No.
Except for this one in
All right, so where are you going to put those scores, man?
Well, I'm going to start the 13 right off with the strength. Obviously, that's going to be a heavier area. And I think more than likely we'll actually take the 13 for both the dexterity and the constitution as well. We want any possibility for a bonus, which I believe they'll get at least a +1. We want to take advantage of that opportunity. Then we'll take the wisdom and intelligence down to an 8. And that should set our scores. And I'll leave the charisma at an 11.
All right, so just a quick recap. Go ahead and read those all for me.
So our scores now, after realigning, are strength 13, dexterity of 13, a constitution of 13, an intelligence of 8, a wisdom of 8, and a charisma of 11. So not a bad-looking guy.
That's all right. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started here. Again, this is just going to be a quick little run-through. We're just really testing the waters, really. So there's not going to be any kind of noticeable location if you're expecting us to be, start out in Waterdeep or Baldur's Gate or, I don't know. I was trying to think of some for Dragonlance, but I don't even remember. Istar at the bottom of the. You're starting on and you drown. All right, so
you're in an inn.
Oh, there we go. So there won't be anything noticeable or recognizable, rather. It's really just going to be a rough go in it. So, Martin, are you ready?
I am ready.
All right, so here we go. If you're wondering why we're not doing any of the other character creation stuff, you're about to find out. All right, so you awake in a mud pile between two buildings in an alleyway. You are extremely discombobulated. The sun is shining. It's really glaring in your eyes at this point in time. You hear the sounds of hustle and bustle, so immediately you kind of try to get your bearings, and you do get the impression there are a lot of people around, but you're still very confused about what's going on. It's very hot. It's wet on your back. You do feel like you're in, some sort of mud or water. So what do you want to do?
Am I able to gauge by any smells or anything? Am I near the coast? Am I in a large landmass? Is it kind of a desert area? Am I seeing a lot of stones, rocks on the ground? What kind of environment am I looking at?
As you turn to look around, you just kind of sit up on your elbows and you look around. You're in an alleyway. You're in between two buildings, and it is muddy. It's dark and there's a lot of shadow. The sun isn't hitting it. But as you look out, you do see kind of off in the distance where the buildings end, you do see people walking, and there's a fair amount of people. You see a couple of them glance in and just kind of go on by. But you are in what feels like a town, and it sounds that way. There are smells. You smell food. You smell urine. You smell all of the great and gross things that go along with being in a populated area.
Okay. I'm probably going to head towards the direction of the light. Head to the light.
All right. As you start to stand, you do feel a sudden wave of nausea. You feel very dizzy, and you can't really prop yourself up quite yet.
Okay. Well, I'm trying to think. So, is there something wrong with me? Am I tied up? Was it just fatigue?
All right. Now you kind of check yourself over. Is that what you're saying? You want to just give yourself a quick once over? You kind of feel around. You notice you're in clothes. Nothing feels broken. There's nothing jutting out. You check yourself. There are signs of blood, but it's kind of dried at this point on your hands. You do feel kind of weird in the face, but you don't feel like anything's broke. You don't feel any sharp or sudden pains. It's just you're a little dizzy every time you try to sit up.
Okay. Then I probably want to at least, if I'm not right next to a wall, I probably want to crawl either to a wall or a grate or something, a stack of boxes, something somewhere that I can kind of prop myself up as best I can and try to struggle to my feet.
All right. As you start to move, you kind of slide through the mud a bit. Up against a wall. You do hear somebody say, "Hey, you all right?" And you kind of look down the way, and there's this really scraggly, nasty-looking guy. He's not old, but he's not a young guy. And he's just he's standing there at the alleyway, in not bad clothes. He just looks like a normal guy.
Is he in a threatening posture? Has he got his hands out?
No, but he's not coming in. He's just standing there at the edge, just looking at you.
I'm probably going to continue to try and get to my feet and see if I can, whether I'm hoarse or not, to actually call out to him and see if he can give me some assistance. So I'm going to say, "Excuse me, can you please help?"
All right, you try to say that, and what ends up coming out is, "Help." So the fella kind of looks around, left and right, and he just kind of, is he mumbling as he walks on in. He comes in, and he just stands there over you, and he's like, he just looks at you and says, "You been drinking too hard there, buddy?"
I don't recall drinking. I'm not really recalling much right now.
And he looks you over and he says, "Well, you don't sound like you're from around here. Do you know where you're from?"
Fortunately, right now my head's just full of cobwebs. I can't really make up or down of my situation. I can't really recall too much from just waking up here in this alley.
And he just kind of looks at you weird, and he says, "Oh, you look like you crossed the wrong people." He said, I don't really feel like, I don't feel safe helping you out." He said, "You look like you've had a hard time. If you just go out to the building that's across the way, that's Mary. She has a bleeding heart. She may help you out. Maybe she can give you something, but..." And he walks on his way.
I'm going to take his advice and not follow him. Because even in my state, I think he can take me. I'm going to try and see if maybe there's a stick or a board or something that I can use to kind of prop myself up like a crutch and see if I can maybe make my way down the alley towards
Gotcha.
Mary's house.
Okay. Well, you look around and you're looking for something to prop you up. You do see something kind of semi-buried in the mud against the building, kind of near where you were laying on the other side of the alley from you. But other than that, it's really empty in the alleyway.
Okay. I'm going to crawl over there and take a look and see what I can unearth over there.
All right. As you dig it up, it's an empty, what looks like an empty sword scabbard.
Okay.
As you look at it a little bit more, you think it might be yours, but it really looks kind of damaged, and obviously there's no sword in it, so you can't really tell.
Very exciting. That's my first piece of equipment.
Da, 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 da.
Okay, well, I'm going to take this and kind of hang on to it and kind of just shovel up to the wall, sit up against the wall, and then try and start backing up against it so I can get myself up.
At this point in time, why don't you roll a die 20 for me? 12. All right, you manage to kind of get up, and you have one hand up against the building. You feel like you can, as long as you've got something to hold you, you feel like you can, shuffle your way out. So you shuffle against the building, with hand against the wall. You make it to the edge of the alley. As soon as you get to the end of the alley, people start walking. They don't even break stride, but they make a very noticeable, concerted effort to go a wide berth around the entrance to that alleyway. Little kids look at you and laugh, but most people just go around you and they don't even look twice. They just go around you and go on by.
How am I feeling right now? Still dizzy? Still
You're
nauseous?
not as dizzy. Your face is beginning to hurt a bit, but you don't feel quite as dizzy. Don't feel as nauseated. So you feel like you could manage. You could walk.
If this was old school, I would try to do tightrope walking proficiency so I could see if I could meander on through this crowd. Just for the difficulty setting. But I in this case, I am going to make all attempts to try and get through the crowd and without trying to draw any undue attention. Before I do that, are there any guards around or anything like that?
Roll a proficient, or not a proficiency. Blah, 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 blah. Roll a perception check for me.
Okay. Ooh, 8.
You don't see any guards, and the crowd's very crowded, but you don't see any guards.
Okay. Then I think at this point I'm probably going to try and utilize my athletics to make my way, get all the strength I can built up to make my way across the alley towards that lady's house.
Okay. Well, let's go ahead and roll an athletics check. 17.
Plus 3 would be a 20.
Yep, so you got it. All right, so you kind of take a deep breath and you kind of look around and then you just kind of lower your head and start to get across. Surprisingly straight for as dizzy as you feel. But it turns out that it's not a problem for you to get across because as soon as you start moving, it almost seems like there's a constant halo of about 5 or 10 feet. Somewhere between 5 and 10 feet. People are just staying away from you. But you beeline straight across the roadway, all the way to the other side, to the buildings on the far end.
Okay. I'm gonna attempt to go directly towards Mary's house.
Okay.
If there's any kind of markings or anything like that, maybe even possibly use my history from what the old man was describing. And pointing at to possibly locate her house if it's not. Well,
you don't have to use history. It was just like 10 seconds ago.
Ancient history.
You know it's the house directly to your right.
Okay.
Because you are facing the house across the way. It's not so much a house as it looks like a storefront. Okay. There's a sign. You can't really make out what's on the sign. You're still kind of woozy. But there's a sign hanging out front. And there's a weird smell in the air that you just don't quite recognize as of yet.
Okay. I'm gonna knock on the door. If the door is closed, I'm gonna just knock on it.
Okay. You go up to the door. Before you even knock, the door swings open. And there's this short, probably 4 foot tall, just super fat lady with just crazy, crazy blonde hair. Just kind of going everywhere. She doesn't look very old. She's maybe in her 30s, 40s, but she looks pretty rough. Not in the way of, a weird old beat up woman or anything. She just looks like she's way too busy. But she opens the door, swings it open, grabs your wrist, and just yanks you on in the building.
All right.
Slams the door behind you. You don't remember being led anywhere. You just feel like this little short thing has just slung you across the room, and you end up just falling in place on just this really soft feeling object. You kind of look around, you realize it's not a bed, but it's a big, almost mattress-like cushion, almost like she just had it there, intentionally. Mm-hmm. It's right in the middle of the room. So you hit the mattress, we'll just call it a mattress, and she goes, "Oh my, looks like you've had a hard time, I believe. Let me check you out." So she comes over and starts looking you up and down. "Oh, there's no open wounds, no slices. Your face is very bloody." And so she starts to look at your face, and everywhere she touches is just like, not sharp pain, it's just a really bad ache. "Oh, it looks like you've been beaten senseless. How do you feel?"
Disturbed and in pain.
What you say kind of comes out. You feel like you're about to throw up. So she runs over to the counter and mixes something up. You just see her doing stuff, and your vision's starting to get weird. You really wish you wouldn't have ran across the road at this point. She comes back, and she's, "Here, take this. Drink it." And she hands you just this glass of just weird-looking...
Murky.
Yeah, it's real murky, gross. But she tells you to drink it.
I'm just going to down it then.
So you down it, and I'd say about 75% of it actually ends up in your mouth and goes down your throat. The rest of it just kind of ends up in your nose and all over your face. Within a few seconds, you're out. And the next thing you know, you wake up, and you're looking up at just this white ceiling in this extremely clean room, and you smell lemons almost. It's almost like a really citrusy smell.
Okay, I'm going to kind of get up on my elbows or whatnot and try to glance around the room, kind of test myself gingerly, remembering kind of what happened the night before.
None of the nausea that you felt is there. You sit up and you feel like yourself in that there's no pain, there's no dizziness, you're extremely hungry, you are extremely thirsty. That feels like your number one priority. But as far as nausea, no, there is no dizziness. You sit up without any kind of problem.
Am I in a room? Is there a wash basin? Is there...
Yeah, you look around, and it looks like what you would perceive as, maybe a clinic of some sort. Everything's extremely clean. There's a lot of white, sheets, towels near the bed. There's a wash basin. There's several containers of water beside the wash basin. There are towels. There's some dirty rags over in the corner. They look dirty. They look muddy. But everything else is very clean. There's really not much more than that in the room. There's one chair at the foot of the bed, but other than that, that's really all that's in there.
I think I'm going to make my way over to one of the water pitchers and go ahead and start quenching the thirst.
Okay, so you get up, you walk over, you take one of the pitchers, and you just toss it back. Again, maybe 50% of that gets in your mouth at this point, but you don't really care. You slosh it back and you drink the whole thing, and you immediately start to feel a little better.
I'm going to look around, see if there's any activity, maybe the woman from the night before, or maybe if there's something to eat somewhere, and I'm just going to start. I'm not going to rummage through everything she's got, but I'm going to try and make my way and familiarize where I'm at, just so I can figure out, A, probably where the entrance is, and B, where the exit is, if I need it.
Roll a perception check for me, please. Oh, that's a nat 20. That is a guaranteed success no matter what edition you're in. I don't know if that's true.
It is.
But I'm pretty sure. It is in Dustin edition. Yeah, it's a nat 20 is going to, yeah. So, all right. So you just feel your senses are just open. You hear the hustle and bustle outside. It's very muted. You can hear the lady just kind of talking through. You can't make out what she's saying, but you can hear her talking to someone. You realize instantly that you're completely naked, and it kind of clicks to you. Oh, all those dirty things over in the corner, those are my clothes. And on second glance, you see that scabbard that you dug up, and you realize, man, that thing it's broken and beaten. It's not of any use. What looked perfect, when you looked at it the last time, you can tell that it's pretty much gone. But you're standing in the middle of the room naked, and you hear the lady, and you hear coming towards you.
I'm probably going to, at this point, try and cover myself. So either with a blanket or a towel or something. Otherwise, I'm going to go for my clothes and try and load up.
I got you. So you reach over, you just grab a sheet off of the bed, you wrap it around yourself. A couple seconds later, the door opens and she looks in. Oh, goodness. You're up and about, aren't you? You feeling a lot better?
Yeah, I'm feeling a little bit better. I'm not all there quite yet, but I am feeling a little bit better. Thank you for helping me, if you were the one that was helping me last night.
Oh, that was me. I saw you come out of the alleyway, and I saw people running from you. You're lucky none of the guards caught you.
Yeah, I apologize. I'm definitely not trying to cause you any trouble, but right now I'm just really looking for any help that I can get.
Oh, it's no trouble. That's what my shop is for. I took the liberty of measuring you and getting you some new clothes. They'll be here in just a moment. Just please lie down.
Okay, ma'am, I don't really have any money to pay you.
Oh, don't worry. This is my shop. This is what I do. I help people. Don't worry about it.
Okay. What's your name?
My name is Mary.
Nice to meet you, Mary.
Let me just throw this in on a side note. Please forgive the change of accent that I'm experiencing. I know it goes from redneck to Irish Irish lady. That's the best I can do.
Mrs. Doubtfire.
But I feel like it's a lot better than me going, "Oh, my name's Mary." So anyway, back to the story. So yeah, she shuffles on out with her little short fat self, closes the door behind her.
I think at this point I'm going to kind of inspect the room, see if there's any windows, kind of look out at whatever I can see of the city or alleys, just really kind of get my bearings. And see if there's anything
there
I
is
recognize.
a window, but it's shuttered from the inside. There's a beam going across the shutter to keep it closed. And you assume that's just so people can't look in at you. But there is a window, on the one of the walls.
Can I tell if this is a one-story building or I'm on the second floor?
Well, you can't tell them.
Okay. I'm going to go over there and just undo that, but I'm going to slowly open it a crack, just very, very slight. Just peer out and see what I can see.
You just kind of peep through the crack. You just give it a crack, and you just look through. And it's just another alleyway. This one's nowhere near as muddy as the other. The sun is reaching into this one,
Okay.
but nowhere near as muddy as the last.
I think at this point I'm going to rummage through any of my things, see if I can find anything that will jog a memory.
Sure. So you go rummaging through your old dirty clothes, and you're really surprised that you can even describe them as clothes at this point. There are a lot of tears. You're missing a whole sleeve off of one shirt. You're still not quite sure, what happened, or really, the more you think about it, you can't really remember what has gone on before waking up. But you can tell that the shirt, it's an expensive shirt.
Mm-hmm.
It's missing a whole sleeve. There's tears all over the place. The butt of your pants is ripped wide open. Your shoes are gone. No socks.
Scabbard's destroyed.
Scabbard's destroyed. It looks like somebody just took it over their knee. There is just a crumpled up piece of cloth with some string around the top of it. You kind of deduce that was your money pouch. Obviously, it's empty now, but it was in a kind of a crumbled heap.
Are there any insignias or any markings or anything that I can tell anything?
No. Actually, all the buttons off of your shirt are gone. Anything, really, there's no metal anywhere on any of the clothes that are still there.
Okay. I'm going to look around the room, see if there's anything, that can tell me more about Miss Mary and what she does here. And once I've done that, I'm probably going to pursue out the door.
Really, only other than the bed and your clothes and the wash basin, there's a chair. And there's really nothing else in the room that could tell you anything. Really, those are the only things there. You just get the impression that it's really everything's set up just to be as quick and as clean as possible.
Okay. I'm going to head out of the room, follow the same way that she went out, and just see what I see coming through. Hopefully I can get some clothes.
Okay. Well, you have your sheet wrapped around you, and you walk over to the door. Just as you're about to reach, grab the door opens up, and here's short little fat Mary, and she hands this bundle of clothes to you and says, "Here you go. Just take these and put them on, and we'll talk about what you can do for me to repay me."
Okay. All right. I appreciate it.
So you put on your clothes. They're just basic brown pants. Not even breeches. They're not pantaloons. They're not tights. They're just workman pants, brown workman pants. And they actually look like they've been used. And they're a little big around the waist. But there's also a thing of rope for you to tie that up with, you assume. You do have just a white linen shirt. You do have some wool socks and a very worn pair of leather boots that are just a little snug, but they're fine. They're going to work just fine.
I'm going to try and tidy up a little bit before I try to go out that door again. I don't want to leave a mess for the lady.
Okay. Yeah, you tidy up the bed. Just kind of clean it up as much as you can. Use some of the old, dirty sheets to mop up some of the water that you spilled.
Sloppy. A little sloppy. I'm going to head out.
Okay. So you walk out, you're in the middle of the shop, and Mary's over talking to someone.
I'm going to just look around until she gets done with whatever she's doing, but I'm going to kind of keep an eye on her and whoever the other person is and see if I can observe anything that might be of interest. And if I can make my way around that's not going to look too obvious, to kind of eavesdrop if I can.
Okay. Well, in that case, why don't you roll me an investigation check? Now, before you do that, what's your modifier on investigation? You are not proficient.
I am not proficient. That's an intelligence-based skill, so I'm going to get hit with a -1 on that because I only have a 9, which, as a human, we didn't count for that fact, but I get a +1 to all of my ability scores, so all those did get bumped up by 1. And that's a 7.
All right, so that is a fail. You kind of look around the shop. You're really trying to listen to what she's talking about to get kind of a gauge on what's going on. You're not really sure what the shop is for. There's a lot of different things. There are jars with various liquids. There's some plants. It's really not anything that you really understand.
Okay. I'm probably just going to continue to make my way closer to her, but if I'm getting too close, then I'm going to just stop and just wait for her to finish. I don't want to lead on too much.
Okay. You just kind of meander around the shop, and eventually she does finish. She takes some money from whomever she's talking to. She gives them a handful of some weird plant that you don't even recognize, and she just kind of looks at you as you're walking around.
Did I get a chance to see who the person was that she was talking to?
I mean, you have no idea who it is.
I'm just going to go up to her and say, thank you very much. I really appreciate everything you've done for me. Let me know anything I can do to repay you on this.
Oh, well, there is one thing that you can do for me. Okay. I do have a bit of a problem out in my storage area of the back of the shop.
Okay.
Again, forgive the slip from Irish into redneck. and back to Irish.
She's just a wonderful woman.
She is. She's crazy. She's diverse. You don't know where she's from. You don't know where she's been. I do have a bit of a rat infestation in that shop, in that area. I was wondering if you could go back with something. Just get rid of them. I don't care how. I don't care if you kill them or if you scare them away. I don't care. Just get them out. They're ruining my stock.
Sure, not a problem. Do you happen to have anything, any type of, I guess a sword would be asking for too much?
Oh, no, I don't carry nothing like that in here.
Do you happen to have a pitchfork or a
No,
hammer?
no. I have a broom. And she reaches around behind the counter. There's a little broom, and it's a little broom. She gives you the broom.
All right, well, I'm going to take the broom, because guess what? It's better than nothing.
All right, so just for the sake of explanation, really didn't see anything in here about improvised weapons. And in this case, you have a broom. You're obviously not proficient in broom. So I do see, just looking online with some things, because I don't see it here, so we're going to go with what I've been able to find online, which basically says it's kind of up to my discretion. What do you have there? Oh, club. You say things into the mic. People can't hear you.
Yeah, the one thing I was looking at was possibly, I'm not going to break it because I would feel terrible, but I might be able to use it impromptu as a club.
Well, we'll see how it goes. I have a mindset of kind of what kind of damage we're going to do if we use it as that. But that was just to give our listeners just an idea of what they're about to hear. Again, if there is a rule set for this, don't kill us over it. We just go with what we have here in front of us. All right, so you've got the broom. She points you to a door in the far corner of the room and tells you to take that door. That's to the storeroom.
We're going to head out that way.
Okay, so you go over there. You open the door. It's just a long hallway. There's some spare chairs over on the side. Couple of wooden crates, and then a door at the end with a lot of white material just kind of shoved around the bottom of it.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and pull that material so that way I can get this open.
Okay. You yank the material out from under. You see that it's just old white linen. As you pull it, you can see that the end that was propped under the door has been chewed pretty thoroughly. And as you pull it, you just... And you see the head, just start to squirm out. And it's a rat, probably about the size, maybe 6 inches long. Just kind of squeezes itself. And as it starts to squeeze and work its way out from under the door into the hallway, and you still hear...
I'm going to go ahead and chase that one down, beat that one, or bludgeon it, or get it out of the house somehow. I would probably assume it would probably be better to go ahead and kill it.
All right, so what are you doing? Are you going to attack it with the broom?
I'm going to attack it with the broom.
Okay. We are in combat. All right, so I am using, just for those of you at home, and a free plug to whoever made this. I don't know who you are. I am using a set of tools on an iPad that I downloaded, a couple of apps. There's a Fight Club 5. There's the D20 DM5. That is what I'm using to set encounters. It looks like it's either made by a group called Lion's Den, or maybe that's what it's called. I don't know. The app's called D20 DM5. And we've got a couple of different options. So I've got this built in here. It has built-in encounters, and it has a few dice rollers built in. But we're old school. We're not going to use a dice roller. We're going to roll these bad boys ourselves. I am going to roll initiative first here we've got one rat. Oh, we need the book so that we don't make a big chaotic mess of noise.
We have been. Anyways, goodness you're...
Sorry about all those thuds, folks. All right. So here we go. Go ahead and roll initiative for yourself, Martin. So Martin has rolled a 10.
1, which is 11.
And I have rolled a 2 with no plus. All right, so Martin will go first. So you are going to attack with the broom.
I am going to attack with the broom. And just for the sake of the combat that we're about to do, there is a slight difference in combat compared to 2nd edition, where you actually will, I believe, you'll utilize your proficiency bonus with your attack roll. And those will also change as well, depending on whether or not you are using a finesse weapon. So in case if you had a rogue, you would use your dexterity bonus for the attack. Or, in this case, we're using a fighter, a bludgeoning weapon.
Right. In this case, we don't have to worry about all that. So the main difference in this and the edition that we're used to, 2nd edition worked off a THACO system. That's 2-hit armor class 0. This is a die 20 system where everything's based off of die 20 rolls. So to start with, Martin is going to be attacking with a broom. You're not proficient in it. And because it's not really a weapon, I'm going to say you're just going to roll a natural 20. And you will have no modifiers on this. Your modifiers are going to be canceled out due to the fact it's not a weapon. You don't know how to use it.
Now, will we get the strength bonus just for the strength factor on the damage?
Yes.
Okay. Just to double check.
All right, so roll your die 20. Your die 20 is a 10. That will hit.
That will hit.
All right. So your damage on this is going to be a die 2.
Okay.
So for the sake of that, since I don't have a coin, we're going to roll a die 4.
Divided by 2.
And divided by 2, rounding down. Because in 5th edition, you round down. So you have rolled a 2. That will be a 1 damage.
That's the 2 modifier for the strength.
And you hear... and the rat just doesn't even move.
Now I'm going to utilize my perception and see if I can locate any other rats at the door.
Well, you know there are rats at the door.
Okay.
You've heard them at the door.
Are they still crawling through, or?
Nothing's crawling through.
Okay. I'm going to take my broom and stick it in that crack, get it back and forth real good, clear it out, and then I'm going to open the door.
Okay. You open the door up. Immediately, 3 other rats just scamper right on by.
I'm going to chase them down.
All right. I'm not going to give you an attack of opportunity. I'm going to say you were surprised on that, even though you weren't expecting it the way that it happened. All right. So here's the unfortunate part: you never closed the other door, so those rats just take off right through that door into the main common area where Mary is. And unfortunately, there is a lady looking at something in a jar. She's holding it up, and the rat runs by, and immediately, she screams, and she just drops the jar. It shatters. Mary looks over, oh my goodness! And people just start, and the rats are in the room.
Can I take the shards of glass and make a nice sword out of my broomstick now? Jeez. I'm going to go ahead and close that door to the rest of the rat infestation, plug that up, run out of the room, close that door so they don't run back, and then I'm going to start hunting them down.
All right. Well, as you walk in the room, there's no hunting. It's very easy to note where there are rats. You saw 3. You see the lady has now climbed up on one of the counters, and she's just in terror, pointing down right below her where she dropped the jar. You see Mary behind the counter in her shop, and she's just, like she's pinned back by some ferocious beast. And you see a guy, just some older dude, in the middle of the room who's got his hands out like a grappler, like he's getting ready to pounce on something.
I'm probably going to go for Mary first, just because she seems the one most duress.
All right, so you run over to Mary, and of course, yeah, there's a rat, and it's just kind of wild-eyed, you know.
I'm going to go ahead and bludgeon that one.
All right, so go ahead and
Attempt.
let's go ahead and roll our initiative here. Oh, I'm stupid. I rolled a die.
Because in old school, you would roll that.
Roll yours again since it didn't stay on the board. All right, so you rolled a 16.
+1.
I rolled a 9, so you will go first. That is a 3 with no modifier. You swing the broom, you miss.
Fail.
And I'm going to roll a die 10. That's an 8. I am rolling to check and see if you break the broom.
Oh, no.
You swing, you miss, the rat runs closer to the counter, and you just hear this sharp crack. And you are holding the broom. It hasn't broken, but there was a large crack. So you don't know if it's going to break or what.
Can I tell where the crack was? Was it towards the bristles?
You're in combat, so
okay.
At this point, if you want to take your turn to examine it.
Well, no. What I'd like to do is just take a miner and go ahead and break that sucker, and then get me a nice pointy edge.
Yeah, I'll count that. So you go ahead and snap the broom over your knee, and that's the end of your turn. The rat just runs for the corner of the counter, and now he's kind of in the shelf. They're not closed off, but he's in the shelves, running around behind the counter. So let's go ahead and start a new round. Where's my dice?
So I'm going over after the rat, and we're doing another.
Yeah. So that will be your minor action, is to go, because it's still, the rat has gone maybe, I don't know, 5 feet away from you.
Right.
5 or 6 feet. I don't know. Once I check the rules a little bit better, that may or may not be a full move, since your movement is 30, but I'm going to count it as a minor action. Mm-hmm. Okay. So you've rolled a
6.
That's a natural 6. That is, again, a miss. We won't roll for break. You've already broke it. But at this point, now the rat feels cornered, so it's going to attack you.
All right.
And it rolls a 5. Your natural armor class is what?
12.
So that is a miss on the rat's part. It kind of goes after your hand.
I'm going to attack the rat again. 17.
All right, you have rolled a 17, so you jab at the rat. I'm going to call that still a die 2. So that's 1 damage.
+2.
You jab it, the rat just kind of, it's dead.
I'm going to go hunt the next one down by the lady that was standing up. The guy seems like he can kind of hold his own.
Well, you don't see the guy at this point, but you do see the lady.
Okay.
That would be a minor action, I would say. Well, you're not in combat with that rat yet. So
right.
You run over there, and she's pointing down. You see the rat eating some nasty-looking thing. You don't even know what it is, but it's gross. But the rat's just kind of...
I'm going to go ahead and attack the rat.
All right, go ahead and attack. Well, let's roll initiative. Sorry. All right,
20.
That's a nat 20 for you. All right. Yep, you got me.
Attack the rat. 3.
Go ahead and roll that again, since that bounced off of so much junk.
16.
16, so you jab at the rat, and he's dead. At this point, I'm just going to say if you hit the rat, it's going to be 1 damage, and you've established your hit points.
It's skewered with the little piece of broom I have left.
So that rat's dead. The lady is flipping out, even more than when it was alive. But she's still on the counter, so you're like, whatever. So we do.
Now I'm going to see if I can locate the third one, and I'm going to listen.
Oh, you hear the guys.
Right, then I'm heading in that direction.
All right.
Get that one.
He's still over in the middle area where he was. He's kind of reaching around in some of the shelves behind some of the jars, and he is not being gentle on it. He's just knocking stuff off, falling and shattering.
Back.
All right.
Let him know I've got it.
You pull back, but now you see the rat, and the rat's just like, at this point, it realizes it's do or die.
Right.
So let's roll initiative. Let's roll those again since we rolled at the same time, and you knocked mine off.
You knocked. And ooh.
All right.
And this would be a contest, so I get a +1.
Yep. You rolled a 9, and I rolled an 8. So go ahead and attack. 17. And so you just jab in there, and you just kind of get it right up under in the neck.
Oh.
And you pull the broomstick back, and the rat's still on it. It's just kind of twitching. All right, but you've killed those 3 rats. And that's it. So now you've got 3 dead rats laying around.
I'm going to go ahead and dispose of those in the back alley. Probably grab the other one and dispose of that one as well.
All right. So you're going to gather up the 4, go out you only know that one way, so you go out the front door, walk around to the back alley, chunk them in. And then what?
Then I'm going to go back to that room.
Okay, so you're going to start walking back.
The door.
Before you even get back around the corner into the alley, you hear, like, feet just running through the mud, and you just see nasty-looking people in just torn clothes are just grabbing them up and fighting each other for those rats. You walk around the side of the building.
Okay.
You going to go back to the front?
Yeah, I'm going to go back to the front. Apologize to Miss Mary.
Mary is none too pleased. Mary's very angry with you right now. She's just really breathing hard, and she's looking at the mess, and she just says, "Is that all of them?"
I'm not sure.
You be sure, or I'll call the guards on you.
All right, I'm going to go back in there.
So you go back down the hall.
Shut the door.
Pull the door behind you. Okay.
Take that wad, shove it under the door behind me.
Okay, so you feel the other crack. All right, cool.
And then I'm going to open the door and wage things that I won't say on this nice family show on these rats.
So you open the door, you look, and it's obvious at one point this storeroom contained a lot of valuable things because there are still things that you don't know what they are, but you can tell that they're very organized, and they're not normal things that you've seen. But you can tell that they're rats. So there's poop everywhere. There's other things, just fur, nests, and all this stuff. And there's one giant nest in the very back of the room, kind of in the corner of this chewed-up box.
All right, we're going to pursue then.
Right.
I'm going to just start, whatever rats I come across, I'm going to go ahead and deal with them before I get all the way back to the back.
Okay, so you're going to make your way towards that nest. You start walking that way, and as you get towards it, you just hear this, just this almost, angry hiss.
I'm going to try and use my perception and see what that was. Was that actually a rat? Is it something I've come across before?
Okay, go ahead and roll a check on that for me. You cannot discern if that's a rat noise or where it's coming from, but you hear it.
Is there anything on the ground that I can use, like rocks, pebbles, or anything?
No.
I'm going to just keep moving forward then and see if I can locate the animal.
All right, so you make your way over towards the old rat nest, and as you get a little closer to it, it starts to kind of move and turn and face. You realize it's not a nest at all. It's just a big rat. It's a big rat. It's probably a foot and a half.
Oh.
It's a huge, fat, gross-looking rat.
Oh.
And it looks at you, and immediately you realize that it's not going to run. It's going to attack. So let's go ahead and roll initiative. Oh, all right. Well, I rolled a 7. So the rat is going to attack you.
In fact, with these new rules, and we haven't discussed advantage and disadvantage and things like that, we'll get into that later, but I have a feeling I would be at disadvantage.
All right, so here we go. He's going to try to bite at you. That's a 4. Your armor class is a 12. That will be a miss. So the rat lunges and you just kind of move.
I'm going to stab at the rat. That would be just a 6.
A 6. That's going to be a miss. The rat kind of bites at you and you kind of jab at it. You miss as well. So the rat kind of goes at you again and it misses again.
He's as bad of a fighter as I am a pest control man.
He's a fat rat, man.
15.
15. So as the rat just kind of lunges at you again, you just kind of jab at it. And that's 1 damage.
2.
You jab at it. What is it?
3.
3 damage. You jab at it and it hits, and the rat makes this really high just squeal and hits its back, rolls over, and it comes up and it's
ready to go.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
So it kind of goes at you again, misses.
Stab at it again. 13.
13. So, yeah, you jab at it one more time.
4.
Roll that on the board, please. If you would just, roll normal and not...
So that would be 2.
If anyone wants to, let me describe Martin's rolling pattern here. It's not just a roll. He basically takes his hand, starts it beside the board, and then ends it about 1.5 feet above the board as the dice goes flying through the air.
Terribly excited.
All right, so that's a 1 plus, a 2 modifier, so that's 3 damage. You've hit the rat. The rat it's now bleeding pretty profusely. And it's really slow to kind of move, but it's still going. And it makes one more lunge at you. And you kind of pull back away from it.
Attack it again.
You get a little overconfident. You try to go for that finishing blow. You miss. The rat kind of moves. And in response, he bites at you for a natural 20. So the rat goes up to bite at you as you just kind of lackadaisically stab at it.
Which I believe on D&D 5th edition that goes max damage. I'm not quite.
I believe it does. Actually, I think if we look in the player's handbook, under critical hits, all right, do you have it?
I do. I have that, and it actually does state if you're going to roll a 20 on this, you will be subject to a critical hit, which means you get to roll double damage.
Okay, so you don't get max damage, you just roll. So if it's 1d4, you'll roll 2d4, then you'll add your bonuses.
That's correct.
Okay. Well, the rat's damage is a 1d4, so we're going to roll that twice. That is a 2 and a 1, so that's 3 with a +2 for piercing damage. So now it will be a 5 damage to Martin. It goes in, you just kind of, you lazily stab the rat, just, and it just clamps down on your hand good, and just kind of just.
I think at this point that the hand that has the makeshift.
Yeah, that's the hand that's holding the broom.
Then I'm going to actually take that rat and I'm going to slam it up against the wall.
It's not attached to you. It bites and lets go.
Okay.
Yeah, it just takes a big tear at you.
I'm going to grit my teeth through the pain and stab that.
Okay, go ahead and. That is a 5. That is a miss. This rat has thrown off your aim. And the rat is for a 17. That's going to be
sounds like a comeback.
A hit. So the rat is like, F you, buddy. You can bite me. So now we're going, that's 4 plus 2, so that's 6 damage.
Wow.
So
that's 6 damage?
That's 6 damage. That's 11 damage total, so you're down to 1 hit point. You and the rat down to 1 hit point.
All right, let's see who goes first. This might be a really short podcast, people. A natural 1.
So all right. So there's no like critical miss in the player's handbook. I don't know if it's anywhere in the DM's guide or anything like that. I always liked it, but because I didn't establish it up front, I'm not going to do it. But from now on, that is part of the homebrew. We will do skills challenges, and we will also do critical miss. So in that instance, if I had called it, what I would have you doing is trying to stab, and you would lose the broomstick. It'd go behind a box. Now you got to bare knuckle fight this rat. But I'm not going to do that. You just missed the rat. So let's see if the rat can finish the job. Yeah, it went off the board, so I'll roll it again. Board again. We need a bigger board, folks. 19.
Oh, God.
So the rat goes in to bite.
Dead man walking.
Yep. The rat just bites, and somehow, without you realizing this, the rat has bitten you on the wrist, and that first bite tore a good chunk out of you. And you've been bleeding profusely. And the rat gets you again. It gets a hold of that one spot. And that's when you kind of realize, holy crap, I'm bleeding out. You really don't feel recovered, so you just kind of slump down and you hit the ground. The rat's still tearing at you. And you just hear this. Before you go black, you just see this guy reach down and grab it. So combat has ended.
Failed.
You managed to kill 4 regular rats. Then this big bad boy got a hold of you pretty good, so that's funny. You wake up later on, and you feel awful. You do feel sick. You feel hot. You feel really bad. Your wrist is bandaged up. You're in the same room that you were. Mary's standing beside the bed. And she is obviously infuriated with you.
Sorry, Mary. I tried. I did my best.
Oh, you're going to be paying me back for all the damage that you've done.
Absolutely. Don't disagree.
So you just kind of notice some movement off in the corner. You didn't realize it, but behind Mary, there's these 2 guys. They're wearing these red, just almost like drapes over their chest. You can't really tell what they are, but they've got these big, long sticks. You're really woozy.
Oh, God.
And you hear one of them just looks at the other. And the other one just, and they walk over to you, and you just kind of, you daze out as they're picking you up. You just hear something about prison to work off. Prison. Debt. You black out. So that's for today. That's a good introductory experience here. You've killed 4 rats. You got schooled by a giant rat for the ultimate comeback win.
Completely schooled.
We probably won't be coming back to this. We're going to try out a different class next time. We're actually right at the hour mark. We're like hour 3. So we're going to go ahead and call it here. But maybe next time we'll try a different class. We are planning to have 3 other guys that we went to school with come in and play at various times as we get the opportunity. But for the first few podcasts, we're just going to do some very basic, archetypes of classes. Just your basic mage, your cleric, just to see how different things go. We didn't really get into anything because you didn't have any of your weapons or anything like that. We just wanted to get some basic feel for how combat goes. Again, we'll learn the rules a lot more. We'll get a lot more familiar with 5th edition, and we'll kind of work it out. So, so far, what do you think?
I think it's good. One of the points that I would make, even though everybody might say, "Well, I can't believe you're starting out. You haven't done your background, you haven't done your alignment, you haven't done inspiration, your ideals, traits, all these different things." And to me, when you're in gameplay, you have to kind of flex a little bit for the situations. And starting out with something simple like this really kind of allows you to evolve the character. So a trait or an ideal that you might have before you get into a campaign might not work so well if you do that beforehand. If you have a DM that'll work with you a little bit and allow you to kind of customize that within that first level and allow you to kind of make and develop that character, then you really kind of get the opportunity to develop that character for that campaign and really allow them to kind of come into their own versus trying to throw in something that might be great for a campaign for Planescapes, but instead you're in Greyhawk or you're in, for instance, in Dragonlance and you're in Krynn. Somebody for Planescapes might not fit into the area of Krynn. So that's one of the things that I liked about this specific session is it shows that even with the limited amount of information that you have, you can start this off and really start developing the character. My idea for this character was quite different before we went ahead and started playing him, and I really like the fact that he kind of developed into almost kind of a, not necessarily naive, but kind of like a humble person that decided he wanted to help out and make sure everything, was good. Unfortunately, as his intelligence proves, he really wasn't the smartest brightest crayon in the box.
And this session, again, it was really more of an introduction just to get our feet wet. But it's also, you don't have to play in some built-up campaign. There was nothing about this that was specific other than Mary's shop. And really, you knew you had one NPC that really pertained to the story. You had, your one guy who kind of came by and said, "Man, go over here," But you really only had one NPC that really interacted, that you knew a name. You didn't really have anything. Everything took place in the span of two alleyways and one shop. So it can be as flexible as you need to be, just be as creative as you can. But it is a lot of fun to do. So next time we'll tackle a different class. We'll go with the same kind of thing, but we will start to incorporate some of the class skills that we didn't really throw in here today. We basically just went with very simple attacks. No, really, we didn't even work in, your minor action and we just kept it very simple for today. So until then, again, my name is Dustin.
I'm Martin.
And this is Dungeon Mastered. We'll see you next time.